Today we'll discuss how Artistic-Zeal's ADA compliant technology can help you comply with WCAG regulations. So before we explain what web accessibility is, let's understand what that means. So the guidelines for web accessibility are called the WCAG, or Web Content Accessibility Guidelines version 2.1. All of the guidelines adhere to the WCAG 2.1 or 2.0 version regulations. So WCAG regulations from here on out refer to the worldwide regulations. Those rules and regulations are provided by W3C. They're comprised of hundreds of rules that describe how your site must function, be designed, behave, code standards, and other guidelines that are designed to help explain what an accessible website should be like. The WCAG regulations fall into two types. The first type is user interface and design-related adjustments, and those comprise about 30% of the adjustments, such as sizing, contrast, animation, and more. The second type comprises of about 70% of the adjustments, including keyword navigation adjustments for the motor impaired and screen reader optimization for blind people. So now that we understand what WCAG is, we can discuss how our technology can help your site become compliant. So to comply with ADA Title III, WCAG, and other legislations, we utilize two components that work simultaneously together to achieve compliance and remedy web accessibility issues. The first is our accessibility interface, and the second is our background component. This component is responsible for 70% of the compliance and takes 48 hours from initial installation to complete processing and achieve compliance. Before we discuss how the AI works, we're going to discuss our user interface and get a better understanding of how it operates. This interface helps to comply with the 30% of regulations up front, such as design, cognitive, and motor sensory requirements. So at the top of the interface, you'll find the Stop Animation button. This is for people who have epilepsy and they suffer from issues where they're exposed to flickering animation, which could result in a seizure. When this button's clicked, all animation, such as video, CSS animations, embedded iframes from Vimeo, YouTube, and other sources, and GIFs are paused. As you can see, by clicking the button, the flickering GIF was paused immediately. Another feature is the virtual keyboard, which is used by people that don't have palms or fingers, so they can simply click a mouse with the base of their arm with a gentle click. For them, this keyboard will pop up similar to that on a phone, and they can use the mouse to be able to click on this very easily. For people with cognitive and learning disabilities that may have a hard time grasping certain words, abbreviations, or even slang terms that appear within your page, we have a feature that is linked with dictionaries through Wikipedia and Wiktionary to provide instant and elaborate definitions of the keyword being searched. It could be the name of a person, a complicated concept, or even a new word like facepalm, where elderly people may not know. So this feature helps people with cognitive disorders get better information about the web page that they're interacting with. The content adjustments have different options to adjust how the content is displayed. So if this font isn't visible to someone with blurred vision, they can simply click on Readable Font to make the website easily readable. In addition, if they find that the content is too small, then they can adjust the size until it's just right for their particular need. They can also adjust word, letter, and line spacing, which helps people with certain visual impairments to have a better experience. It also gives the opportunity to emphasize titles and links to have easier navigation of the page. So for those that are colorblind, they actually have the opportunity to use various color profiles for whatever severity of colorblindness they may have. They can choose dark mode, light mode, monochrome mode, or to completely invert the contrast. If it's an issue with saturation or contrast, they can adjust that by a simple click. If they have color blindness with a particular set of colors, then they can separate it with colors that they don't see from colors that they do. So if for some reason they couldn't see the color green, they could simply change the color of the title to red, purple, or another color that works better for them. And this can also be applied to the background colors. So other interface options allow you to change the cursor itself. You can make it bigger in black or white for better orientation if the user has issues identifying the default small browser cursor. The last feature we'll talk about is the emphasize mouse hover button, and it allows mouse framing to elements with mouse hover for better visualization for people who have visual impairments. Our user interface has many other modes like accessible print, mute sounds, and other options that we'll go ahead and let you just play around with on your own. You can view those from our website. So one crucial concept to understand about our user interface is that it utilizes a personal accessibility experience, so that you as the website owner aren't required to actually change the way that your website operates itself to adapt to the accessibility guidelines, but rather the user can simply adapt your site to their specific needs quickly and efficiently. If you want to use certain fonts, colors, or titles because it matches your branding or it helps your conversions, then you're welcome to do that. But if people find your website to be difficult, then they can simply modify it according to their disability. This allows you to design with freedom your website as you see fit, and it allows you to stay compliant with helping people with impairments to be able to view your site as their needs may be. So now we'll discuss the background application and how it helps to cover two main areas that those requirements meet, which is for the blind who use screen readers to access the website and for motor impaired who use keyboards. So first, people with motor impairment actually use only the keyboard to navigate your site. From navigating all sites and links using the down and shift up keys, to closing pop-ups using the escape key, through navigating menus and drop-downs using the keyboard arrows. The second is for blind, using assistive technology such as screen readers, which is a software installed in the operating system, JAWS and NVDA for Windows, and VoiceOver for iOS and Mac, TalkBack for Android, and also ChromeVox for Chromebooks. For the blind, the screen reader completely replaces the need for a screen. Apart from operating on an operating system, the screen reader also operates on the browser side, and the WCAG requires websites to be fully optimized for the screen reader software using the ARIA attributes. So a lead developer from the JAWS screen reader team has actually collaborated to develop this technology, and that's also the screen reader that's mentioned in most lawsuits. So it's great to be able to work with one of the world's leading experts in this technology. So please note that the issues we're about to see are probably relevant with your site as well, as the majority of most websites, including the WordPress, Wix, Shopify, and other systems suffer from most or all of the typical screen reading navigation related issues. And in addition, the website that we're going to be viewing had no accessibility work done on it other than implementing our technology. So when a keyword user accesses our site, the first thing they'd usually do is hit the tab key, which accesses the navigation. So when our technology is installed, it'll actually access the top accessibility navigation bar where they can access the accessibility statement as well as opening the accessibility interface or turn on keyword navigation adjustments. By doing this, it triggers the accessible mode, instantly applies all the required code changes, and makes a site fully accessible using the keyboard. Since this mode is on, I can navigate the entire site using only the keyboard. So next, they to the quick navigation menu for keyboard users to quickly skip between pages and sections using only the keyboard, without the user having to go through the entire website. So to see the footer links, I could quickly skip to the bottom of the page. I could even directly search for a specific page of the website. This menu is also accessible by clicking Alt+1 from anywhere on the site, as long as the accessible mode is on. So as you can see, I can navigate through the entire website using only the tab key. So the site is fully accessible using only the keyboard. Open drop-down menus and trigger links and buttons, or the next and previous carousel buttons, and more. Not only that, but also this technology optimizes those to the highest level that WCAG requires by implementing menu navigation using the keyboard arrows to navigate left and right in the menu bar and navigating up or down within drop-downs, as well as using the escape key to close drop-downs. So now we will discuss pop-ups. The accessibility requirements for adapting pop-ups to keyboard navigations are that when a pop-up appears, the keyboard focus moves from the bottom area to inside the pop-up, and to lock the navigation to only that specific pop-up so users won't get lost below, as they could be prevented from using the website due to a pop-up blocking it entirely. So additionally, hitting the escape key when a pop-up's active must escape from the pop-up and return to the element that was previously the focus before the pop-up appeared, which was the sign-up button in this particular case. For forms, we use the site's built-in Validations API to jump the user to the field with the validation error so they don't have to go back and forth through the entire form again and again for each error using the keyboard only. So another feature that we have for keyboard users is the ability to navigate the entire site using just letters on the keyboard. So M will navigate through menus, while F will go between visible forms, B through buttons, and L through lists, T for tables, I for list items, K for links, G for images, and more. So there's also many other requirements, like being able to switch between radio buttons using the arrow keys, checking boxes with the space bar, and many other necessities, but we take care of all of those through this technology. So the next area of accessibility is screen readers, like JAWS, which helps the blind to be able to access websites. Most of this modification requires modifying HTML elements with ARIA attributes, along with a few other tags and behavior changes according to the functionality and states of the elements. The ARIA attributes are processed by the screen reader to provide the full context to the blind reader while accessing your site. To turn the screen reader adjustments on, you simply navigate with the screen reader to the site and you'll get an announcement saying to turn on screen reader adjustments. Hit Alt+, +1. So here's a couple of examples of how this would work. So if your page had a Facebook icon on it, a simple link with an icon inside for a screen reader would simply say link without providing what the link does, because the screen reader wouldn't be aware of what the Facebook icon would mean. The same would apply to any other social media or other type of icon. But when using our technology, the link tag is modified on the fly, and it adds an ARIA attribute that says the ARIA label is Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever the icon might be. So a screen reader is able to read it out as link Facebook or whatever the link may be. A similar issue occurs with the icon, such as the shopping cart here, because nothing in the code indicates what they do. So also, this is a span tag, which is an HTML tag that indicates a text string, not a button or a link, meaning that the screen reader will never even know that those two are clickable and functioning elements of the site, but rather text tags without text, and will probably ignore them altogether. However, when our technology is turned on, the cart tag will get a label to shopping cart, and then the favorites element gets a label to favorites, and both receive a role tag equal to button. So now a screen reader can provide the user with meaningful context by reading out button shopping cart and button favorites, which is what those elements would be. So next we'll discuss menus. And if you look at how this menu is coded, you'll see that it uses a list HTML structure, which is standard, and for those of us without visual impairments, we would recognize that as a menu. However, the screen reader would not, and it would read that as a list. Now, lastly, we're going to go over alternative text, which is required to be accurate and accessible to all screen readers, also known as alt tags, that are attributes placed within the HTML image tag. So we use an iris and OCR technology. That's basically AI-powered technology, image, object, and character recognition technology. So this technology, when turned on, helps your site to have an accurate and full description of both the text and the objects that exist within the site. So here a description is added to the three main banners. The first says shopping, stock, shop, options, fashion. The second, sell, Black Friday. And for the third, wood, travel, shopping 50% off. Without this, a blind shopper would have missed the fact that there was a Black Friday sale, travel, shopping, and other sales, because the elements providing this info are simply banners with graphics and text. Also, brand logos are described and other images as well when this technology is turned on. If you're interested in adding our ADA compliance technology to your site, then feel free to visit us at artistic-zeal.com or at a2zmkt.com to get more information on our services. You can also give us a call at 817-381-5381. You'll see also on our page that we do have the accessibility logo in the lower left-hand corner, and you're able to view from our page exactly what it looks like and play around with it a bit. You can also view the other services that we offer, and we do offer consultations. Just click here, and we'd be happy to schedule a 20-minute consultation with you to further discuss your needs. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to doing business with you. I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.